Welcome to another week of reading with me. This week is going to be a scramble week. Can we finish my February TBR before the end of February? I have a feeling the answer is going to be no. So if you've already seen my TBR, I have added an extra roll because I don't have as much faith in me as I probably should this week, but we're going to attempt. We're going to try to get some books read that were on my February TBR that I had not yet finished before moving into Ramathon, which starts on Saturday. So wish me luck. The main thing that I need to get done this week is just catching up on Song Rising. I started this before Romantasy-a-thon and put it down so that I could binge the Romantasy, but I did get about 30% of the way through this and I want to wrap it up, get it finished before I move into Ramathon. I have been struggling a little because I don't know if it was the book or if it was a slump, but I wasn't enjoying it as much as I did previously. I did get a lot of books that read during Romantasy, so if it was a slump, hopefully we have now broken it, but we'll see. This is priority number one. And then I also want to read A Throne of Ice and Blood. This is the sequel to An Empire of Flaming Thorns, which I gave a 5-star at the beginning of the year, and I'm just dying to read the sequel. We're gonna do a big buddy read of it, which is literally the best way to read a book, so I'm just excited to read it with everybody and see what I end up thinking of it. I'm nervous because the first book was like all vibes, all banter, and I'm curious to see how I'm gonna feel about it, if it can like hold that same magic or if it's gonna feel repetitive. Today's docket is just really to get my house in order for the week ahead. It is kind of become a mess and I'm tired of living in my own filth. So I am going to pop up a to-do list here. This is what we need to get done today. I'm going to take you with me. I need to take out the trash. I need to get my laundry done-ish. I don't think I'm going to be able to get all of my laundry done because I don't have enough hanging space for all of my like hang up drying clothes. So I'll get as many loads as I can done before I run out of space. I want to kind of make my bed, pick up my room, pick up the living room, run the vacuum, maybe even clean out the freezer a little bit, unload the dishwasher. Like today is a full chores day. Maybe I will pop a little bit of this on while I'm doing it to get some read. Let's go get started on these chores so I'm not doing this forever. Mostly done. Hopefully you can't hear the dryer going because that's the last little bit that I have left to do, and it feels really nice to be mostly finished. I even walked Ollie while I was at it, so I have had a very productive morning. It is now 1:30, so I have the rest of the day to read, to watch The Resident, to watch YouTube, whatever I want to do. I'm a little scared to watch The Resident because we're starting to lose some of our main characters and I'm afraid that I'm gonna cry. I already have cried once. I cried this morning while I was eating breakfast and I don't want to cry again. So maybe we'll watch some YouTube read instead. But have any of you listened to Tate McRae's new album yet? Because I popped it on while I was doing my chores and it is so good. I do need to do another listen through to see kind of what my favorite song is. I still love Sports Car, but it's the one I've probably heard the most off the new album. So far, I don't know if I have any skips. I am vibing. I love like the kind of Britney Spears vibe, like the early 2000s, late 1990s vibe that she's got going on in this. It is such, and I put it on every excuse that I could that I wasn't reading to just kind of vibe, and I was dancing while putting my laundry in the washing machine. So let me know what you think if you have been listening to it. But also I wanted to update you guys because I haven't read any of the Song Rising yet for this vlog, but I wanted to update you on what I had already read. I got to about 35% of this a couple weeks ago, and this is a reread for me. All the way through Mask Falling is a reread, and then the only book that I haven't read is the one that comes out on Tuesday, Dark Mirror, which I'm so excited for. Mask Falling destroyed me when I read it originally, so I'm curious to see if that's going to continue on the same pattern. This was where the series really started to pick up for me. The first two books were a 3-star, this one ended up being a 4, Mask Falling was a 5, so I'm curious to see if this continues. As of right now, it is still sitting at like a 3. I'm not enjoying it as much as I was before, but I'm wondering if that was just the mood that I was in. So that's why I decided to put it down, because I was like, I think I'm slumping. I think I need to put this down, refresh, start over. And I'm hoping that once I pick it back up again, it will give me those 4 or 5-star feels that I had before. Sorry, I really hope you can't hear the dryer. This is following Paige Mahoney, and she is the mosher, or the second hand, to one of the crime lords in London. And the reason that they are part of this crime lord is because they are clairvoyants, and clairvoyants are persecuted in this new world. This is like dystopian. I don't remember what year it said it, but it is like dystopian our world, but clairvoyants are people that have different kinds of powers. So Paige can go into others' dreams. We have people that can call upon and control spirits, just different things like that, but it's all like the spiritual realm type powers. And she gets taken and sent to this place called the Bone Season, which is basically a camp for clairvoyants. Learns that there is a lot more going on than she originally thought, and kind of has to try to escape and finds an unlikely ally along the way. I don't really want to tell you any more than that. The Bone Season can be a little bit confusing, so if you are reading it and you're like, I don't understand what the heck is going on, go back and read The Pale Dreamer first, which is the novella that comes before it. You don't have to read The Pale Dreamer, but it does help kind of clear things up. Either way, this series is so much fun. I think it's so unique and unlike most things that I have ever read before. I'm hoping it'll kind of give me a little bit of a palate cleanser going into Ramathon, because I've been reading a ton of romantasy, and I plan to read more because our bonus prompt is to find your next book boyfriend or girlfriend. So I gotta decide what I'm gonna do for the rest of the day, but once I get about halfway, I'll check back in with you guys. Hopefully it will be going a little bit better for me at that point though. So I got this new blanket yesterday when I went to, I think it was TJ Maxx, and it's like, I don't know, it's just the softest thing ever. I love it so much. It's the perfect weight, but as you can tell, Ollie and Wilder are also huge fans. But before I get snuggled in to read, I do have the song Rising. I went and looked at my audiobook and I told you guys I was 30%. I lied. I was like 30 pages into this book. So I don't know if Past Mel was just reading on something different and I forgot where I was reading it on, but my Audible book says I'm on chapter 3. So I have a long way to go before halfway before I give you thoughts, which means I may check in a little bit sooner because like, what was I thinking? 30%, whatever. But before I snuggle in to read for a little while, I want a coffee. I've had like Diet Dr. Pepper this morning, which is my go-to drink of choice. Let me know what your drink of choice is, but I drink way too much Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm not a really big like normal Coke girly. I feel like it's just too sweet and sticky for some reason. I think it's just all in what you get used to, but yeah, I don't drink like regular Dr. Pepper. I will. It's not that I hate it. I will drink it, but I'm just like, why have all of that sugar when I can eat chocolate instead when I don't like it, you know? But anyway, I need caffeine and I need more caffeine than is in a Diet Dr. Pepper. So I'm gonna go find some coffee. I'm feeling a iced coffee today, and I think when I was at the store the other day, I bought some of the Starbucks iced coffee. So let's go see if I have any of that. I did get some of the cold coffee. I like the Starbucks medium roast that's unsweetened. I've tried like the cold stock, or I've tried the stock cold brew, I think, and for some reason it's just not my favorite. This one is definitely my favorite. It's not quite cold brew. It probably could use some more caffeine. How much caffeine is in you? Doesn't tell me. But anyway, we're gonna make us a small coffee. I also like to put a little bit of sugar-free vanilla syrup in mine as well. Just like a pump of that, just to give it a little extra sweetness. But I don't want my coffee too sweet. Okay, we're struggling. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I also love the Delight cold foam. I'm a cold foam gal. Everything that I drink, I want cold foam on it. Hot, cold, doesn't really matter. And this stuff, when they started making this, incredible. Give us a good little dash of cold foam on top. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be perfect. I'm excited. I'm gonna let this drain down a little bit so it's not quite so dark, and we're gonna go get to reading. I ended up starting another book. I started Throne of Ice and Blood, which is the second book in the Empire of Flame and Thorns series, because it just came out today. Everybody was buddy reading it, and I was like, I need in on the buddy read. I did read a little bit of Song Rising, and not enough to give you guys any thoughts, but I made it about 20% of the way through Throne of Ice. Like I said, this is the sequel, and Empire of Flame and Thorns is about a world where we have dragon shifters and fae and humans, and way long time ago the dragon shifters were enslaved and basically created to stay in their dragon form and used as horses for the fae, and so they rebelled and managed to take over, and now the fae are basically in service to the dragon shifters. We have a trial that happens every how many years is it? 100 years? Where the strongest can fight for a chance to be able to leave the kingdom. And our main character is part of the rebellion. She thinks if she manages to get in and win this trial, she's going to be able to prove to everybody that she needs a bigger part of the rebellion, essentially. But there's one dragon shifter that is determined to get in her way. I had so much fun with the first book. It's full of one-liner banter. So if that's not something that you enjoy, then don't pick the series up. But I just was kicking my feet and giggling at the interactions between the two of them. It was so stabby and so good. And like Draven, yes, incredible. The writing was a little bit rough in the first one, but the vibes were good enough for me that it was fine. I am noticing in the second one that the writing is becoming a bigger issue for me. And I don't really know why it didn't bother me in book one, because it's not any worse than the first book. It just definitely is more pronounced to me in this one. And I think maybe it's because of the interactions between the two of them are more limited currently. I'm not really sure, but the repetitiveness and the like sentence structure is kind of funky on occasion. This does not have an audiobook, so I can't just listen to it to try to see if that will help with that, but I'm just gonna try to Wilder. I'm just going to try to continue to vibe, and hopefully it will start to work better for me. I'm still enjoying it. I still like their interactions. I like the world, but some things are happening very quickly, and I'm curious to see where the direction's going to go and how I'm going to end up liking that. I was a little bit worried about that at the end of the first book, although I liked where the first book ended. I was like, okay, how are we going to continue this for 5 books? So I'll keep you posted. But I did get some book mail. I ordered this. I had a credit on Amazon, and I was like, what do I not normally want to spend money on, but because it's free in girl math, I will do it. And that is Dark Fae by the Twisted Sisters. This is the prequel series, I think, to Zodiac Academy. Technically speaking, where I'm at in Zodiac Academy, I should stop and read the entirety of this series instead. Will I? Not sure, but I did want to have the first book on deck. These are significantly shorter than the Zodiac Academy books, and I wonder how quickly like I can read this. Is this an urban setting? Does anybody know? Let me know if this is an urban setting, if I can count it for Realmathon. Otherwise, this may be my next book boyfriend. I think this is Reverse Harem, so it may be many book boyfriends. I'll keep you guys updated. I don't know exactly when I'm going to read this, but I do want to try to at least get one book read before I move into book 4 of Zodiac Academy, but that one's on my TBR for this month, and this one isn't, so I should be good and read my TBR. That's all I have for you guys right now. The Voice is on tonight. I absolutely will be watching that. Me and Nikki and Cassidy have been watching it together. I don't know if Cass is going to be able to be there tonight, but Nikki and I will leave her lots of comments to read up on later. I'm enjoying this season so far. Nobody has just like completely blown me away, but I'm loving the interactions between the judges. They are hilarious. This group is amazing. I'm glad to see Adam back. I used to listen to Maroon 5 all the time and loving like Kelsey, and I know Michael was on it last season, but I didn't watch last season, so their reactions are incredible. I have finished The Song Rising, and I didn't update you guys a lot on the way because I just really didn't have that many thoughts. I was listening and overall enjoying, but I just kind of breezed through the reread. I didn't have anything updated to tell you about. In the end, I think my reread may get like a 3.5 rounded up to a 4-star. I still enjoyed this one. I think the second half picked up a lot, but the first half was so much slower than I remembered it being that I think it's hard for me to like give it a full chest 4 stars. The like last half to a third of this, so good. Lots was happening, and Paige was making some decisions that make you want to shake her, but also make a lot of sense for her character as a whole. Like, she is a little bit reckless, doesn't like to always think things through, and that feels very authentic to her. So I like the direction that the end of this book went and kind of how everything was shaking out. I liked seeing more of the vulnerability in Paige and her struggling with some of these decisions. I do want a few more like character development, character interactions things with her and some of the side characters. I feel like we get it a lot with Warden and we did with Jax, but not as much with some of the other characters. I think it did do more of that in The Mask Falling, but I don't remember it well enough, so we'll definitely be reading that one as well. The first half of this was just unfortunately very slow and plotting, and I'm one of those people that if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I like politics. I like conniving politics, but I also want to see the repercussions, and this did a pretty good job of that, but the beginning was like all conniving and not as much happening, so I think it kind of lost me in the very, very beginning. Still enjoyed my reread of it, still excited to continue on in the story. Finally reread The Mask Falling so that I can get to Dark Mirror, which came out actually this week, and I really haven't seen a lot of reviews on it so far. I saw Ashley, who used to be on A Frolic Through Fiction, now is on Instagram. She loves the series and loved it with her whole chest, but it's really the only person that I've seen that's read Dark Mirror yet, so I'm excited to finally get to it soon. And that's really all the updates that I have for you. I haven't been reading a lot. I'm hoping to get a lot read tonight, but I am hitting a little bit of burnout, not like full burnout in channel or anything like that. Just in reading, I'm finding it to be a little harder to like make myself pick up books. And so I want to go into March with full excitement and wanting to read. So I think I'm going to try to get as much of Throne of Ice and Blood read as possible tonight, so that starting tomorrow I can take a step back and really just watch TV, veg out, and get excited for Realmathon, which starts on Saturday. So I will keep you updated once I'm about halfway into a Throne of Ice and Blood. Shouldn't take me too long because I'm around 30% now. I made it halfway into a Throne of Ice and Blood, and let me just say, this one is quite a bit spicier than book one was. There have been a few spicy scenes so far, and she can write a good spicy scene. I will be completely honest that there's a decent amount of times that I skip the spice. Like, I want to read a little bit of it because I do think it's important for character development and romance, but to an extent, it can get to be a lot sometimes, and I do skim. I don't skip, but I skim. And in hers, like, I am still skimming it sometimes because it will go on for a while, but she writes a decent spicy scene. I'm having a good time with that. Now that I've gotten into it a little bit more and I've like sat down and really focused on reading, I am enjoying it a lot more. Draven is just like everything. He is incredible, and the banter between the two of them is still so good. They are like sniping back and forth, but also it's a lot more flirty than it was in book one, and I am liking that change in dynamic. I think that it really works for like where their characters are right now. Some of the moments of where they're in situations where I can't really tell you too much about it, but she's having to act a certain way, I'm just like, But there was this moment, and I just have to read you guys this quote. It's not spoilery, I know this is the second book in a series, but like there's a point where she's having to act a certain way in front of other people for reasons. That's really, I don't want to spoil this, but because of that, she had to kneel, and she tells him that he's never had to kneel for anybody. He could not possibly understand why that was so humiliating and frustrating for her. Then a gasp escapes me when Draven lowers himself to his knees. "You're right," he says, tilting his head back so that he meets my gaze. "I kneel for nothing and no one." His golden eyes burn like flames, searing right through my soul. "But for you, I would kneel." I loved that quote, like that scene. So good. Draven just like, I should have saved this for Realmathon because next book boyfriend, yes, incredible. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just having a good time trying to not really think too hard about it and just go along for the ride, because this is not one of those books that you want to think too hard about. There's still some issues with the writing, but it's just a good time. There are a few logic issues that I have noticed here and there, but I'm trying to just like turn my brain off and enjoy and not think about it too hard and just get in the mindset of this is a great time. And after about 20-25% so far, I have been able to do that. I need to catch up because we're all, like I said, buddy reading it, and I'm behind. I'm very, very behind. So I need to go back and read the newspaper that is all of those comments and kind of reply to things to where I've gotten to so far. We were supposed to be reading my February TBR in this vlog though, and it's looking like that's not gonna happen. I would have put this on the February TBR if I remembered it was coming out in February, so it counts, kind of, maybe, possibly, not at all. Somebody is having a very fun time on their four-wheeler. I just finished filming a very exciting video. You guys have already seen it, I think, by the time this comes out, but it is gonna be my urban fantasy Rex for Realmathon. And as of filming this, I have a 1 day left until it starts, so I am scrambling to finish A Throne of Ice and Blood. I have about 15% left, so I will definitely give you guys final thoughts here shortly. But so far, I'm liking it better than I was. Well, I guess when I checked in with you guys last time, I was still enjoying it. There's a few too many smut scenes in it, if I'm being just picky. I feel like they're just kind of thrown in because now they're semi together, but they're actually enemies, so now we have to have lots of smut, and I don't know. I want my sex scenes to have some impact, and I don't care if it's a super smutty book. Like one of my favorite series, Bonded by Thorns, super, super smutty. But I feel like most of the scenes are there to further character relationships, and these don't feel that way. They feel like the author went, oh, I need to add more smut in here, and just tossed in a scene. And in some ways, it's taking away a little bit from some of the more impactful moments for me. I'm being nitpicky because like it's not the end of the world. I'm still enjoying the book a lot, but I do think that that is bugging me a little bit. Like it's annoying more than anything because I'm like, oh, here we go again. Let me just skim through this, but also they're not bad scenes. I just think I want more like banter fun. This book is just kind of missing that a little bit for me, and it's what I loved so much about the first book. So I'm still having fun. I don't know. I need it to give me a little bit something more. I've heard the ending is fantastic though, so I'm excited to read the ending, find out what happens, because Maria and Chris, I think, said they liked the ending better for this one than even they did book one, and the ending of book one was really, really good for me. It hit all the right buttons. Like, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. So I'm curious to see what the ending is going to be. I'll check in once I'm finished. But I think I told you guys a couple of days ago, once I had a chance to listen to more of the Tate McRae album, that I would give you some of my final thoughts and like what my favorite song was. I really, really like this album. Some of the later songs are not my favorite. Like, Nostalgia is okay. I really like Green Light, but it definitely like has a progression where it starts off really, really strong, and then she goes into more of like these slower songs. And I am a pop girly. I like for my songs to have a pretty good beat to them. And so Miss Possessive, so good. I really, really like that one. I think my favorite though is going to be Dear God or Revolving Door. So those three are kind of like right up there for me, along with Sports Car, but like of the newer songs. Also, like, was it Lots of Love or I Know Love? I Know Love is also really, really good. So many good songs on this album. If you've listened to it, let me know what your favorite is. I'm very curious. I always want to know. But I think that this one's just got like a really good beat. It's great to like roll the windows down, pop the sunroof, turn it up full blast, and just let the bass do its thing and just sing along and like have a great time in the car. That's what I've been doing, and it has really helped because this week has been a challenging week. I'm not going to go into details, but this week has been a little bit of a challenging week. So I need to go finish Throne of Ice and Blood because it's early. I got off work early, so it's only 10:30, but like we have today. We have to finish it today because Romathon starts tomorrow, and I can't be carrying a book that I'm 80% of the way through into March. Okay, it's March 1st, which means that Mudslingers has new drinks out, and it is my favorite. They have my favorite back, and I'm so excited. So we're gonna go get the Lucky Charm drink this morning. It's green, it has Irish cream, it's so good. I'm so excited. I have not finished Empire Flame and Thorns, and it's Ramathon, so I really need to get that done today. But I, first and foremost, have got to go get this coffee. I am so incredibly excited about it. Okay, they must have changed it a little bit because the cold foam used to be green, which is fine. Like, it's not a big deal that it's not green. It's going to taste the same, but I do kind of miss the green. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Still so good though. So incredible. We are finally here with our little helper over here in the corner to talk final thoughts on Empire of Flame, Throne of Ice and Blood. Wow, I cannot get that title right for anything. And finally close out this vlog. It took me far, 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 far too long to read the final 70-ish pages of this book, and I don't really know why. It's not that anything in particular changed that made me want to stop. I did know the ending was supposed to be really good, and I don't know, maybe I was just like, what if it's not? I'm not really sure what made me kind of put a hard stop on it for a couple of days, but I did finally finish it, and I liked the ending. I don't think that I was as emotionally invested and like, oh my gosh, at the ending as some of my friends were, but I still enjoyed it. It didn't quite shock me in the way that the Empire Flame and Thorns ending did. And for some reason, this book as a whole just didn't quite hit in the way that Empire Flame and Thorns did. The female main character grated on my nerves a pretty good bit. She was kind of dumb for a lot of this book, and some of the decisions that she was making, we would get halfway through the book and she would go, oh, yeah, I never really questioned that and I probably should have. And that happened over and over and over again. And I'm like, at some point we gotta have some character development where she stops running into things head first and actually thinks things through. And she's not that kind of character. But at the same time, I do like those kind of characters that are very impulsive and fly by the seat of their pants, which I think is what I enjoyed about her in book one. But Draven definitely carries the story for me. He is incredible. His lines, his moments, amazing. I wanted more banter between the two of them. I did miss that, but I liked the banter that we did get. There was a very familiar trope that I liked the way that that was done. We still had our Revolution Revenge. Kind of saw how the story is going to progress into the next book. I wish it was not 5 books though. I think it's gonna get a little bit drawn out especially if our female main character doesn't start to learn and change the way that she's doing things and the way that she's thinking, because this book felt very repetitive. It definitely seemed like it was taking itself more seriously. I missed those fun moments, but I kept going, wait, haven't I read that already? So I'm just looking for things to be a little bit more polished, I think, in the next book, and I'm not sure that this is going to be that kind of series, that kind of book. So I'm hoping that I really start to enjoy it again in the next book, and maybe I was just in a mood where things were gonna bug me. That is definitely possible. I do get in those sometimes. But that is a wrap on this vlog. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I took it very easy this week and we only got 2 books read, but that's okay. We knocked 2 books off of the list that I really needed to complete. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me some kind of ice emoji down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching. If you're interested in any other reading vlogs, I will leave one up here on the screen for you guys to check out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!